good as the games are, as good as the music is, we return. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LPL. Some beautiful shots of Beijing there, of course. That's where JDG's home arena are. And it's good to be back, of course, for another split. It's good to be back for another game of FPX and JDG, which was just an absolute massacre by FPX. Right?
It's hilarious. Both times in a row, both series as it stands. Now, this series, just game one. So I'm going to take a little bit of step back on this one. But the story here was both of these were upsets.
Yep.
In the playoffs time, Sino Dragons back then, now known as Dominus, take the series win in a dominating fashion. This time around, I remember it was JDG ending up taking it in a best-of-5 scenario in playoff time. Both of them are just insanely in favor of the teams higher seeded. In this case, FPX comes in strong.
Yeah, really strong. And this man, especially, another Olaf here today that is just looking exceptional. And Tian, he's looking fresh on both the Rift and off the Rift. Look at that haircut. This man looking pretty good.
Give this man a suit.
Yeah.
If you want to have sponsor obligations or whatever, you know, put on whatever it is on top of them, LPL suit enabled. Because that man's a businessman. He went back to work.
Yeah.
So great job overall from him. I think if we're just talking about biggest hitters, sure, Olaf. Bottom side of the map, now it's a combination of both Crisp and LWX. I think they performed masterfully.
It was.
So this was a great Yuumi game. And that's why I just want to talk about Yuumi. This is when we start rolling the footage and we get into all of the good, like the big pluses in team fights. Because remember that caveat I mentioned to you coming into this was that she is great, fantastic into melee champions. When the Irelia dives into, when the, in this game, Leona dives into alongside like the Jarvan, you're going to get that snare.
Yeah.
I don't care on who, but you're going to get multiple waves, 3 waves, get the snare on towards like multiple champions. And it sets up your AD carry who is already being whisked into these fights with an exceptional shield on top of his head. Later on in the game, he had himself the Mikhail's Crucible to just in case.
Whether he needed it or not, yeah.
He already had the cleanse, but just in case that Yuumi had you covered. And it looked great for the team.
It was a point where we're questioning how the Yuumi was going to come in. Of course, first Yuumi of the LPL, but even in the early fights without ultimate, the healing is just still just so good to see.
Yeah, I pretty much talked about this play entirely for the last like minute and a half, but like just so you guys can see it for yourself. So easy. It reminds me of a Lulu Lucian composition not so long ago, where the whole tactic is to be able to speed up movement speed, get you in on the action, and amplify your damage. That's what she's able to give you with the extra bit of adapted force later on in the game when she starts ranking it up past that 5% mark. And so, great stuff. Multiple stuns. A winning fight turns into the winningest fight. Like, double kill for the Yuumi. I loved the ability to play this one through. I thought it was going to be difficult against multiple engages, but obviously played it well, especially with the Changhong Silas teleport.
I said I didn't expect it on Crisp because what we see of Crisp is normally the engage support, something a little bit different. But LWX and Crisp, the duo played it magnificently. Now you look at this second game and say, look, for JDG, it was enough of a nuisance that compositionally you don't want to see it again, or you want to steal it away before FPX can pick it up.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect from pick bans anymore. I don't, because Yuumi was sure a topic. Went into the second phase. All right, okay, who cares, man? And then we get into the point where the entire flex picks of Ryze and Silas was just completely ignored.
Yep.
I don't know what book they read.
Irelia first pick.
I don't know what lessons they learned from MSI. But JDG was reading something completely different. Something that was just not correct. It was misinformation.
Yeah.
That was fake news and then some. So I hope they make the necessary, at least if you're forcing the trade, if you're giving the Silas and Ryze away, pick up the Ryze. Everyone can pay Ryze. I know the whole discussion now, and this is what hurts, is that Yagao with Ryze hasn't been winning.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been winning.
0 and 7 in spring, by the way.
And that hurts, but you need to be able to still pick the champion.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you know that someone hasn't been performing, the meta is entirely in favor of playing through that lane. While I love the idea of saying play your style, that's true. But you can't just completely forego a style that is right now like 3 or 4 champions. So you cannot pick and ban against that. We can't just say we'll ban Ryze, that'll be fine. We'll ban Irelia, we'll ban like I'm just saying like specifically all of these like flex pick threats.
Yep.
They must have learned that lesson when they went up against Invictus Gaming in the finals. but they just aren't picking it up, and it hurts. It hurts to see it.
It hurts because the rest of the drafting through playoffs was very good from JDG. We talked a lot about Coach Home and the success he had during playoffs itself, but then we got to the finals and we asked JDG what their draft, what their game plan was. Now coming into summer, we don't want to see that rinse and repeat. We don't want to see the draft fall to the wayside.
And you know what's funny? MSI, completely in favor of the Sylas. Sylas went mad with caps and all that. And then you move towards this patch. Sylas is stronger. He got
Kingslayer got buffed again.
Kingslayer got buffed.
For whatever reason.
I know he's going to get nerfed in the future.
Again.
Sure, that's fine. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I love the current nerf that we see in PvE. But we ain't in PvE.
No.
You have to value the pick. And I love the fact that FPX came in completely playing to that style and honestly just played out the team fights better.
Yeah.
I keep mentioning that teleport there from the top side of the map. GimGoon came in and had a great performance again. That MVP could have easily gone towards GimGoon. So anyone could have picked on that one up.
I feel like it could have gone to anyone at FPX.
Exactly. So a little bit sad to see JDG not really have a solidified plan.
Yep.
That's why I open it up to them. You know, anything is possible. We start and pick ban, but we also see it in play as well.
Take a step back to someone like FPX, if I can get there eventually. Someone like GimGoon, and whether he gets the same possibility again. I mean, both top laners have so many champions in their pool. In spring alone, 15, 16 champions respectively for Zoom and for GimGoon. So it's exciting to see these top laners, go back into the fundamentals of the champion pool. But what else could be there, or what else are we going to see?
Remember, a lot of these times, like, top laners are isolated. That's been actually the truth for GimGoon in the majority of his career, is that he's been put on teams that haven't been able to, essentially lead him to the mid game.
True.
He's been the one that's been the strongest point of the map when he was on, like, game talents and all that. And a lot of the problem that he's had in those teams is just, or at least FPX Doinb.
Yep.
Been able to find ways to, like, at least join the team and help them out after laning. I mean, before laning phase. After laning phase. We'll get there. So, like, these are the major issues that GimGoon has had. That's no longer an issue with Tian.
Yep.
Doinb, the strategy is certainly there with Coach Warhorse. So this team is looking fantastic. It's all on JDG to prove to the world that it wasn't an upset at playoffs.
Right.
That the burst that they've had was based off the strength that they were able to show us in team fights.
Because I know reading some messages around the community that for JDG, or rather my inner thoughts, I'm not going to blame anyone for this. Teams like Suning, BLG didn't hit top 8, and for JDG, a window of opportunity doesn't mean they didn't deserve it, but of course the stars aligned to get them into that position, then they proved it into playoffs. But coming into the split, not going to be able to make it on that 8th position, although they would technically. They need to do better than that, need to be a more consistent split from them.
The story of last split was that place 6 through 10 was up in the air.
It was so close.
To make it to playoffs and to drop out of playoffs, anything could have happened there.
Yeah.
It was actually insane to be able to see JDG still make it into playoffs based off what happened between, like, Dominus and Suning and BLG. All of that happenstance at the end of the split, and I love that stuff. We're not going to get to that point, but I know for certain you have to start this split strong. You have to show consistency. I am not concerned about FPX being able to make it into the playoffs. Their first place performance, thrashed all of that. It has to be on JDG to show me something new.
I've been talking about them making a potential for the spot at Worlds, so even though we're nowhere near that at the moment, just starting off the split, there's so much good to look forward to here from FPX.
Because the most recent international tournament that they have to focus on is going to be Rift Rivals.
That's also true.
So for me, I want to see JDG come into Rift Rivals strong. First few weeks, first 6 weeks, is going to be something that we're going to have to judge them deeply for.
Yeah.
As a side point, completely separate from the point, Doinb has normal hair now. He's got himself that brown hair. And on top of that,
saw it going that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm judging what I see. That's my job as a commentator.
I liked the blonde hair better.
Yeah, it was good.
I think a much more attractive man.
Uh-oh. I agree with that as well.
Okay, good.
But anyways, and it also has a different watch. But we'll have a different discussion. That's cool. That's cool. It's cool. I pay attention to these things.
No, that's all right. I mean, remember they did dye their hair because of the bet that came out. I can't remember
the rest of the team dyed their hair. Doinb was the one that already started out with the dyed hair.
Oh, okay. Did he? Because it's purpley red.
Yeah, he's always had a dyed hair.
Yeah, okay.
He's changed the dye on his hair. But anyways, past that point, it's fun because past that last game, the only reason we're talking about this is because there's really not much of a discussion you can have after the last game.
No.
We said everything there was to say about the drafting points, about the points of execution, about like just legitimately show me anything that proves to me that you're ready for this split, that you're ready for the new meta. I mean, I say new,
That
but
you're ready for
they've been
rivals.
living this meta for quite some time.
Yeah.
So please show me something.
I mean, last time that JDG came through, and FPX for that matter, we were on 9.5, 9.6, so it has been a while, but you're right, they've been living it over in Korean. Solo queue here in China, we're now on to, I think we're on 9.11 here. No, still on 9.10.
The heck? You think we're just going to throw our players into the deep end?
No, not, I'm not talking live, I'm talking live service.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm
9.11
talking
in
LPL.
live.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, fine.
I
I
think
was
I'm
just
talking
not
about
listening. It's
LPL.
cool, it's cool.
I've been looking at 9.10 the whole time.
You gotta plant your foot confidently.
That's true.
Fight me.
Okay.
That's how you
Right.
prove your worth here.
We'll fight later. Last person I fought was in Oceania, and that didn't work out too well. So
I wasn't expecting that. I expected if you were willing to share that you at least came on the winning end of it.
well, I mean,
No one's like,
doesn't
I got my
I
butt
kind of
beat.
backed away from the fight before it happened, so that's.
Then the fight didn't even happen. You don't have to come out and tell us that you lost the fight when the fight didn't even happen.
Well, I just wanted to be confident, you know, so I kind of just threw it out there. But
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. Anyone at him on Twitter, get him some confidence, please.
You're right. He did look better with blonde hair. But look, coming back into what is it should be an exciting matchup, considering this is the semi-finals. This is the rematch. For JDG, I don't expect to see the same thing coming into Game 2. I expect what do you say with EDG and Dima? A total mishmatch. I'm going to call it a bit of dynamite goes off in the middle, and JDG, totally different track.
Yeah, that is the possibility. Remember what happened with Dominus, that they were willing to try out with the same compositions because they had that confidence, right? They had the confidence that they can essentially Band-Aid, or at least they didn't need the Band-Aid.
Yep.
That they can come in and just make the right decisions. Now, that didn't happen. Fair enough. But coming into this one, I expect I already talked about it perfectly what they need from their draft. I think at least if they're not going to hit and if they can't play the flex picks, then I would love myself a nice counter pick in the top set of the map.
Yeah.
During the regular season, they at least found some level of strength through giving strength power picks there to Zoom.
Yeah.
I don't care what happened last game to Zoom. Zoom is still the second best top laner in the league right now.
100%.
Zoom is still a fantastic talent. I'm gonna give him the respect he deserves on that one.
Yeah.
So just draft for him, give him as much as possible.
I mean, we can look at something like, you know, even if we go out to the Gangplank or something that just really shouts Zoom to give him that strength.
This is my problem with that though, because
Yeah.
now right now, Season 9 is not a season for you to just be taking a seat back, right? And just be waiting for the rest of the team. Because at least if you pick GP is a fantastic pick as long as you have power in your mid lane or bot lane. As long as they have early game bridge so you can get to your point completely fine. I'm okay with that then. The problem then is that Yagao needs to be at least pushing for something. Bot side of the map needs to not be like essentially giving away the world to the Lucian and Yuumi because they're not getting any attention.
Yep.
There wasn't that many options there for Flawless because he was completely locked out of that side of the map. So while he got his advantages in the top lane through that Crux trade, nothing happened from that point. So it's rough, it's tough. If you're going to be picking GP in the top lane, then we're going to be a completely new strategy here.
I guess that's one scenario, but you kind of going through what could be a possibility for JDG.
You're Renekton.
Yeah, why not?
Shout out to Musha Jar on in Twitch chat. And he made that point. Give me that Raptor in the top lane, that Toronto Raptor up there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I got it in there. But like, I do think that the Renekton is meaningful.
Yeah.
Because he's a great counter picking towards the top lane matchup. If we are giving away Silas, don't give it away for free. Now, the thing is, the flexibility with having the Renekton is that you need to know where the Silas is going. And if you're going in towards a Ryze lane, then you're putting yourself in a position where you can get ganked. So that's the only caveat that I have. So don't give away both Silas and Ryze. And also, if you're a team that's also as confident as Doinb, that you can pick the Renekton and say that it's going in both either top or mid lane.
That's true.
I want to see what Yagao has in terms of that, because one thing we didn't see from him in the spring split, but we saw past last year, was all the champion picks he was willing to go towards. The Zoe, the Yasuo. He was a champion, or he was close to one.
Close.
But he was a player that had so many champions he could dip into. He had an ocean pool.
Yep.
But obviously he's been really honing on a few champions, and he hasn't been taking complete ownership of the mid lane early game. So.
Because Yagao's still had that Zoe that you just mentioned there. Still had something like along the lines of LeBlanc as well, which was banned out in the earlier series. True. So there are still big windows for Yagao to hit. And
he's a good Syndra player.
He is technically still a good Cassiopeia player as well.
So the only thing I need to see out of him is essentially any bridge to get towards the top side. And remember, when we see that composition, there's a lot of problems with it. But the major problem was in terms of just the pure execution as well. If they're willing to play with that composition, you at least have to be able to take the right fights. And that dragon fight was really detrimental to them. They got the first pick on Doinb, and then they continue to go forward. The same problem that Dominus had in the last series of not knowing what picks were the right picks and when to move off.
Knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them.
Exactly. And so, for me, it's the Jarvan that has to understand his own situation. I'm going to EQ back in. Well, I mean, I'm going to die immediately. Can my team still pick up this fight?
Yeah.
Obviously, they were confident in being able. That's why he went right back in there. But the communication that Sylas is in the fight needs to be called out. We'll see as we get into the pick and ban of game 2.
We'll see what changes here, because game number 2, thank you so much for waiting with us. JDG on the blue side, FPX once again red, but see what they can get away with, because the Olaf was the first pick by JDG, so some adaptation already as 2 junglers have been prioritized.
Wow, already just nicking out the junglers now. The fact that they banned out the Rek'Sai means that they're not even looking towards the Skarner as an opportunity, because Skarner is a fantastic pick going into the Rek'Sai. We got to see that from both, Team Liquid and from G2.
Yep.
So it's not going to be the option here, or at least it's still possible, but not as a response to the Rek'Sai pick. Banning out Sylas is an interesting one because they at least want to know that they can pick up their own engaged champions like LvMao and his Leona and not have it be used against you.
That's right. Okay, Sivir ban, even more interesting from FPX. Maybe that's, as you said before earlier, the priority towards the Yuumi. New champion, can't even remember the name, but with the Nautilus, the first pick priority here from JDG, looks like that could deny it immediately.
Yeah, the Nautilus immediate. Like, that's going to be fun to see if FPX is still willing to take that battle. I mean, we already saw JDG ban that away from FPX. Now that they know that FPX is willing to pick it up,
yep.
I mean, JDG would love to go Nautilus and Sivir to match it up. I want to see if FPX is still willing to pick it up.
Alright, well, of course, the Sivir have been banned away. Curious to see the AD carry pairing. FPX, the Ryze is there again. We saw hovering over the Akali, playing around with the flexes that are still on the board.
Oh, no.
Could just be the Galio. Now,
Galio's another power pick.
Remember that this could also go to Doinb, go to Chris. GimGoon has played Ryze in the past, but more likely the latter.
Chris is certainly going to be picking up the Galio. What I'm worried for is the Akali. So Akali being available, JDG, please pick it up.
Yeah.
Yagao, Zoom, somebody. Because you cannot allow FPX to have both Ryze, his Realm Warp, the Galio Ultimate, paired up with the Akali Gosai.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that FPX now have in an option. I wonder if JDG is willing to give that away.
Or do they just look towards what they did in game 1 and the pick priority onto Irelia? No, we're looking at Imp. And Imp picks up the Lucian. The Irelia does eventually come through anyway.
All right, he picks it up before they get into the second phase. So knowing that he has himself Lucian and the Nautilus, it gives you that sense of confidence that JDG are going to be playing through their bottom lane. A lot of mobility there from the Lucian. Of course, the CC there, Engage there for JDG. Their frontliners in both Irelia and Nautilus are great ones to work around. So I want to see what we get out of Flawless in the second phase.
But we do eventually just lock in that AD carry instead, Raz. And this is the Kai'Sa for LWX, his most played champion alongside someone like Imp. And the Kai'Sa doesn't want to get banned away. But still in the LPL, we've still got this pick priority. And yes, I know you're happy about that one. Akali finally taken away by JDG.
At this point, I would lean towards the Ryze being the mid laner. And I would ask myself, what would I not want to play against if I'm going up against FPX on the top side? And GimGoon, for me, GP has been a strong point for him. And I think, well, GP still available. Right now, FPX have themselves so much zoning tools. Galio Ultimate, perhaps the GP Ultimate.
Yep.
There's a lot you can work around here. I would ban out the GP.
Okay, well, you got one final ban. Let's see what it is. On the other side, curious to see the Elise and Sejuani. Force being shortened down on his champion ball. Still has the Jarvan from game 1 if he wants to try and rinse and repeat, but that's eventually banned by JDG instead. And this pool has just been shortened so much. I'm curious as to what Tian's left with.
Yeah, they were put in a tough spot. Real tough spot. Ooh.
Really? Now, does this make more sense?
Now, they don't want to pick up the GP immediately. They have red side for a reason. They still want to flex the Ryze, so perhaps the Ryze does go in the top lane. They want to see what they're working with. Now, I do not think that's going to be a Vi jungle. While she can get those tanky stats from having, of course, Aftershock, the problem is the fact that FPX has so much disengaged with the Xin Zhao ultimate, the ultimate there from the Kai'Sa as well, Galio ultimate. There's no coming out.
But if you pick this up, then there's some disengage yourself. So Flaw's going back to the Gragas jungle, it seems.
And non-committal engage too. Throwing out a Gragas cast on the enemy jungler, you don't have to fully commit your entire HP bar to be able to make that pick. So I love this far more.
Well, let's see what the final pickup is though for JDG, because Raz, this
so
far has been completely different from JDG. Do you not like this?
I think it is the best pick up against what is likely going to be either a Ryze top or something inferior in just in range.
Okay.
So at this point, Zoom seems like he just doesn't want to deal with a bad matchup, and at least they have some frontliners and the Gragas and Nautilus. So he's trying to pick up himself a best thing, but it's hard to find yourself something strong and a blind pick. So we're going to get that Toronto Raptor right now. I'm going to stop. That's my last time saying it.
That's all right. Original procurer, though, of the Renekton top lane. GimGoon in Spring was the first one. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much onto this into Renekton top lane.
Ooh, that's going to be a Renekton mid.
What you reckon?
That's going to be fun. Well, it seems like GimGoon is willing to pick him up. We'll see once it hits the 20-second mark. But it seems like GimGoon is willing to play, and he's done this in the past. In fact, all of his Game Talent's career, he's been picking himself bad matchups, and he did that in Game 5 too. He's willing to pick up bad matchups so his team benefits. And Renekton versus Irelia is the definition of benefiting if you're Doinb. So he got himself a great matchup.
It is.
Renekton and Xin Zhao is the epitome of 2v2. Fight me, brother.
It was picked up only once in Spring, and Doinb, it was just such a classic to watch. This man picks up anything into the mid lane. You may remember his Kled mid, but you'll surely remember his Renekton mid as well.
This is the flexibility that Warhorse just froths at the mouth. He loves it. My team is willing to do essentially anything to get these flex picks in the right places.
Yep.
And most teams would be like, okay, you have Renekton top side, you look for a gank towards the Viktor. Fantastic, you're in a great spot. Or FPX is like, well, great mid lane matchup. Ryze is going to have some, at least some range problems, but he should just farm out fine. And GimGoon's been a safe top lane, weak side top laner by definition. So seems like this team's going to be starting and ending in the mid lane 2v2.
Now remember, for a team like FPX coming into the split, a lot of pressure put on their backs that this team would continue to perform well without any roster changes. Very few teams in the LPL summer have made minimal roster changes, and FPX have made 0. Still the strong team, still the versatile team as you're seeing here in game number 2. And you talked about it, Raz, Tian and Doinb, the 2v2 mid. Let's get it heated up because it's going to be big work from JDG to match in game 2 of the rematch of the semi-finals in Spring. Hello? Is anybody home?
Fight me.
That's what it seems like the mid lane's going to be. Well, I'm just going to ignore that. There are, I'm sure there's cheers at JDG. We are impaging, of course, for this one at JDG's home arena. They've fallen down in the first game. JDG just waiting for that invade to come through with the Nautilus, but FPX know better. They fan out. Ward drop down in the pixel brush nice and early.
Nothing will come of this. No early wards. Wait a second. Where's that one go? Oh, nice one from Renekton.
Shaky devil.
But that gets seen out. So Yagao will recognize that there's going to be a ward on Raptors. I wonder how Flawless ends up playing around that. So what he could do is go for, red Krug start, or just go to Raptors and say, screw it. I don't care if they see me in my path. But at least now both teams know that this information is available.
Also really smart because for Flawless, he's taken Predator into the jungle. With the Gragas, kind of the last remnant of the Predator jungler.
There we go. He's going to evade it just by going towards his Krugs. This seems like, and we'll see very soon, this is going to be a vertical jungling. Tian has an easy path towards the blue buff. If Gragas was the type to decide to go towards his own blue, buff to buff, he loses out. He can't take that 2v2. So seems like Flawless is bullied out. My only concern now is I don't see Gragas getting the enemy blue.
Yep.
Right now, the hard shove from FPX's bottom lane, and the same happening from Renekton. Tian gets so much, and Flawless is literally barred. Look at this.
Look at the path.
Oh my God, help me.
Just to avoid the ward, he's going to find his
Give me some
wolf.
food. This is the biggest drought of all time.
Yeah. Does he hit level 3 off this?
What are you
I
doing?
don't think so.
Just
Hello,
making sure.
Doinb.
Just making sure.
Yep. It's a nice little roam. Wolves will start the wolves.
He's got his wolves. It's cool. Everything is fine.
Tian can go back. Sees that the blue buff's there, so good information. Flawless does hit level 3 here, and won't see the back just yet. Expecting to see early boots look for the gank. But it doesn't seem like that's the case, especially now that Predator relies on that 315 Scuttlecraft.
I'm sad, man. Just in terms of what Flawless can actually output this game.
Okay.
Because the only lane that I was looking at in anticipation of a good shove was bot lane and maybe top lane once he was able to get some levels underneath his E. But that's taken too long. He's losing too much experience off that.
That's Ignite down. Hang on, Ryze. Pause the phone because Yagao doesn't even get a chance to run away. The flash burn and first blood over to XinJao.
He thought he could match and help push the wave just because Flawless was in the area. But he was taking his Raptors, man. He was trying to eat.
The Flawless just, all right, now I'll eventually take your blue buff. This is the response as the bottom lane is forced to come up and make sure it's secure.
All right, just making sure. Got his bottom lane at least covering for him.
Well, I'll tell you what adds to the stats, though, in this game already, Raz. In spring, FPX had a 74% first blood percentage. And already in this series, they're off to a good start. But Tian picking up that kill. Already has a CS lead in the jungle. Krugs to the top lane. And that first back is going to be looking mighty fine for the XinJao.
Yeah, we're at a position right now that at least they're solidifying this. What I would love to see, and what is already happening essentially, is for Flawless to continue to play through that bot side of the map. And what that means, come back for Krugs and Raptors, and then look for a bottom lane play. I think that LvMao and Imp has been actually shoving this lane so consistently that I'm not worried about a bush being warded in the bot side of the map. So he can come in for a lane gank, possibly look for a pick onto Galio. So that's what I'm envisioning. That's what I think Flawless should actually look for a game plan. His Krugs are up. Let's see if he can go for it.
He's got Predator now as well on the boots. Wasn't able to pick up the upgrade, just instead the Hunter's Talisman picked up. So for Flaws, let's see the pathing, because it looks like the ping to the bottom lane Krugs, maybe into the lane gank.
Yeah, sadly that ward, I think it's been pinged out. He's sitting in the farthest bush right there. So if he wants to make this gank happen, he doesn't really have the opportunity to look at that one. There's no control wards available. Tian is looking mid.
You know what could happen? We could see another audacious charge onto Yagao into the mid lane. Doinb picks it up this time and Tian survives. This is so rough as a start.
I didn't see it coming. Certainly didn't see it coming from the pick and ban.
And Yagao did not see that coming either.
I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were being serious.
For the pick ban, 100% you're going to see this happen. What the heck?
They like the Irelia Raz.
I know they do. Guess who I like a little bit more? Doinb loves the Renekton into the matchup.
That's true.
So no, you're ugly. So like basically this is just the most foreseeable thing, and Flawless can't do anything about it because he's playing to what is, if he wants to keep up in experience, he has to play to what I already mentioned was the Krugs. He didn't even take the Raptors at that point because it probably would have been invaded on. So Yagao has the worst situation because the whole plan was for him to have help.
And look, Tent. Hello.
Who got GimGoon here?
He's level 6. There's a realm warp incoming. Force just has to shadow him because Yagao knows something's up. Doinb has so much wave clear. That's a BF sword on Renekton mid. Yagao just has to sit here and watch. The wave will finally come in.
Oh my God.
Thank God.
I love... This is the first series of the split for Doinb for FPX. And we're starting out exactly as on brand.
Yep.
On brand as possible.
On identity, the same FPX we know and love.
This is the greatest thing. This is what I've been missing out in my life.
It's good to see Tian still the proximity to the mid lane, but the top lane just because GimGoon comes down and makes it so. The ward dropped in there, more information. Look at Tian, still towards the top side of his jungle, as GimGoon lost nothing for that roam down as well. So interesting to see where it progresses from here, because Doinb still has to shove in, and Force is aiming towards the bot side, which is the only lane going well for JDG right now.
At this point, doesn't seem likely that FPX would be paying any more attention to the bottom side of the map just because teleport's not there from GimGoon. They can't make a TP play if they wanted to. They're just going to try their hardest. First step, once again, go back mid lane.
Yeah.
Mid lane, it's the easiest thing. Not only did they pick for it, but it's their pathway to the bottom side of the map if they want to do it organically.
That's a Chaos Storm. Not sure it's going to do much, but
it's doing a lot. Like, he knows that the enemy jungler is here. Even look at Renekton. So that was going to be a 3v1 dive.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Okay.
That ultimate was needed, or he's the next victim.
Wave's still going to push up, however. So for GimGoon, running out of mana. You're right, might have just saved his life. For Zoom, doesn't have the TP to come back to lane as well. So he wants a mighty shove after Tian picks up the blue buff, steals away yet another camp from Flawless, who might be forced to go to vertical jungling. But where is he going?
No, we'll find out soon enough. I want to see if we got Kindle Gem Gold here for Doinb.
Oh, you think it's a different build first for the Renekton?
No, that's Spear Sojourn, I think.
Okay.
Spear Sojourn.
Also, not Black. Of course, not Black Cleaver. You got a BF sword.
Yeah, yeah. Unless if he just randomly wanted to place a sword in his back pocket. But I'm not hoping for that one. But he's going to stay in lane for a little longer. He has a wave to clear out.
Just while we're not looking at the mid lane, Ryze, another question for you. LvMao is a BF sword first, so what are we building for the Kai'Sa? Because it does not look like a Manamune that iBoy was doing earlier on.
Ooh. Could simply be, I'm expecting to be an Infinity Edge first on that one.
That'd be interesting. There is a dagger in inventory. Tian. Now, there was no attention paid bot before, but it looks like there is now. Tian is not going to be spotted out by a ward. See how far JDG's bottom lane pushes up. Flawless is here as well. This could be a full 3-on-3 if Crisp can get the hook.
Could also be Spear. Oh, wait a second!
Oh, that's a flash shield of Duran. Now let's just go on to LvMao instead. Bopped on away. The Audacious Charge doesn't manage to secure anything, and that's a lot committed for FPX.
Now, the fight happened, so I couldn't even give in the second option there, which is like, of course, the dagger just goes right into Stormrazor, which is the go-to, but...
oh, sorry, of course.
Yeah, so... I'm always hopeful for an Infinity Edge, but Stormrazor is the easiest option there.
I guess we just saw that game of back-to-back Manamune that half expecting LvMao just to go for another build.
But that's the play that we kind of needed to see out of FPX.
Sure.
We talked about them needing to open up the bottom side of the map and doing it through mid. Now they were able to accomplish that really largely outside of that mid lane help. Yagao is pretty much tied to Doinb in the laning phase. So once again, great option because for me, for the game to continue to move forward, they needed to really start resetting Dragon, start stacking on that one. If they weren't willing to look for continued dives like they did earlier on, then the fact that the next Dragon is going to be an Infernal, that's a nice swap in swap in pace. So it's going to be now on JDG to either look to combat that once it comes up. I think they will.
Yeah, I think we'll see some action from Flawless as well, who has been pretty quiet this game considering on the back foot he has been. And for Tian, we'll see Warriors out of the Xinjiao jungle as well. So already a bit of a lead in the jungle. I was going to talk about mid, but it's quite obvious at the moment. 30 CS is, of course, going to be expected after the way this has been going. And Doinb is closer to that Spear of Shojin. Now Kindle Gem picked up.
And so the funniest thing is that the weak side of the map has actually been the top lane. But I hesitate to call it weak side because Flawless hasn't been able to find any bit of action.
Yeah.
Been really pushed aside by Tian. The early ward made it so he had to be pathing towards the Krugs. So he was pushed off on that end. And then he was forced in a situation where he had to vertical jungling, except his bottom side was getting pushed in. So he would have gotten killed. So he is so far ahead based on that level 1 that it's tragic. Ryze has had a fantastic lane because of it. He's even or close to even in the matchup. And just being 8 CS behind is actually just a blessing because not only do you have like on paper worser matchup, but also like the jungle attention should have been able to help Zoom early on.
But is there a point where there starts to be more control for someone like Zoom, considering now it's reset a little bit and now that there is more vision towards something like the Rift Herald and more control to the top side for JDG?
Sure, but remember the snowball's been enabled. So control is only if you can stop the enemy team from infecting their will, and at this point FPX has not been stopped at all. The early recipes are just the most disastrous ones to deal with. Kindle Gem is insane of an item, being able to give you the HP and CDR. And then on top of that, the BF Sword. At this point, Yagao and Flawless are so out of the game that Tian and Doinb can play towards a dive in top lane repeatedly, or can try the same thing in the bottom side of the map. Tian is literally just getting smacked up by the Rift Herald as he's trying to cover for his top lane.
And look, I probably said this at the worst time because for Zoom, the pressure from Tian is just going to mount up if he can get into this lane. Chaos Storm used for GimGoon to push him out with the rest of his mana while Flawless walks on up with Predator just to clear vision around the Rift Herald. So priority back towards the top side of the map, and Zoom having teleport will have to back away and look to use the Summoner.
12-minute Spear of Sojourn.
That's pretty good.
And if you look at Irelia, take a look at her items right now. Isn't that beautiful? Yes.
Heavy. Kindle Gem. No, sorry. Ruby Crystal.
Yeah.
Not even upgrading. Oh, that was
Welcome back to the lane.
Tian's still here. The flash forward. Find the knock-up and find the kill. Tian waited patiently for a good cause.
Teleport on the tower, my friend. Teleport
Always
on the
teleport
tower.
on the tower.
Always teleport on the tower.
And now, Doinb will be able to shove out the lane. Bit of turret plating already taken down. He'll be able to walk up, and they get themselves a juicy Rift Herald.
Hysterics?
Hello, sir.
We're on the same path. This game being as snowbally as the last, but Crisp.
He dodges out 2 ultimates. Yagao might have to come on in. Looks for the flawless duet. Doesn't even need it. So that's a kill for JDG. We are on the same path, Raz, but that's the trade for the Rift Herald.
All right. Now that kill seems to not really impact too much because, you know, you're still stuck. Oh, wait a minute.
Does it?
I was speaking too soon.
Body slam. No, just a barrel roll. LWX to supercharge away.
But pushed out of the wave, and remember who has the advantage here. It's him. So has both the summoners up. Has the wave pushing in. Already has like a 30 CS lead at this point once he pushes in this next wave.
Yeah.
So it seems like JDG still have a lane that they can play through.
It's just gone from one to another, though, for FPX. Tian was in the mid lane. Doinb
Oh,
forced out Yagao.
no.
Now it's Zoom's turn.
No.
This just feels
Help.
like plows for JDG. Let's go again.
Help me!
This time it's Doinb who picks up the kill. That's going to be the turret down. The trade, however, from JDG is now being rushed.
I don't even know what to call that. That's like, at this point, he's technically on weak side now.
Yep.
But how weak do you have to be?
Rift Herald up at the top side, gets the charge off, and this is going to be 2 turrets, and Tian has full control of that blue side jungle. Flawless, if he walks in, he's dead. So JD get the trade, but this is going to be, looks like a 2-for-1.
He is so poor right now. Not only can he not afford economy, that brother is swimming. And good luck, because you can't even afford the swimming lessons.
This man is drowning. Well said, Raz. JDG just clean up the Rift Herald after getting a massive charge in the mid lane. Yagao couldn't respond. He's stuck catching up in the mid lane himself.
Now, this is where the question comes in for the dragon that we've all been preparing for.
Yep.
So the Infernal Dragon comes up. For me, I think JDG has to just forego that. There's no way you can play into what is a dominant top side of the map. And Kaisa has been playing this one well. She is, at this point, been able to recover a bit of that CS by pushing out through mid. And is now going to be able to protect Tian, help him out. They are already there. All members strong. Zoom is in the top lane, doesn't have teleport, so it just seems like they're going to let that one go.
Ooh, but what happens here? Doinb pops the Dominus. Yagao ignited half health. Vanguard's edge is still available as the flash comes through. Flawless tries to channel him, but Doinb just walks into him.
What happened to letting it go?
Flawless didn't want to.
Zoom was on that same page, and then he looks over to Flawless and particularly Yagao, and he wasn't even reading the same book.
Oh, hello. Flash away from LWX. At least JDG want to fight, whether it's right or not. Crisp is here, just as punch away. Doesn't want to take on the rest. TP coming in. There's a depth charge, a flash forward. There's Vanguard entrance as well. That's a great flawless duet from Yagao as he's onto the backline. LWX drops down. This is good for JDG, but Yagao needs to survive as LvMao chasing up onto Tian. Crisp is still there, but GimGoon comes on in into a choke the Ryze. Loves every single bit. Doinb, you're late to the party. It's already over. Everything is gone.
GimGoon played that one out masterfully. Like, the moment Irelia was playing that dive threat, she realized she had to deal with the Ryze. Didn't inform her team that her team, guys, we're getting hit up in the flank. We need to all run, get out of here. But they still had their mind set forth, being able to get a second pick. It didn't work out that way. Incredibly tough for JDG. That fight started out strong.
It did. I was very happy with how that started. You look at someone like Zoom, Yagao coming in, and Yagao on the Irelia does manage to pick up a kill, but you look at the cost and the fact that Doinb wasn't even a part of that fight as well.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say after that? At this point, it's turning into such a snowball, very similar to Game 1, that as long as, and you're right about Doinb not being there, that's the only reason why it was that, like, close of a fight. So we can just take a second look at this one. So FPX made the right call to lean towards this top side of the map. That was smart. But the teleport, they didn't expect the ward to be so far deep into that side of the jungle.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do we be able to kite through this one out? So take a look at all the time Tian has been spending pushing them back alongside the Galio, and all you need to see is Ryze coming out, being able to kill Yagao, and you realize that JDG had trapped themselves by trying to chase down for the kill on Tian and Crisp.
Such a shame because LvMao just looks so good in that Nautilus. The depth charge hit 3 members. Even when all the pieces seem to come together, JDG find themselves behind 5,000 gold in 17 minutes in the game. And so far today, we have had dominant games from both EDG and now it looks like FPX. Doinb is going to get more gold. The mid lane is running out of control. 70 CS in the lead. And JDG are left wondering, can we get the top lane turret now?
And funny enough, both of the teams that are on the losing end, Dominus in the last one and certainly JDG in this one, have themselves a brand, get away from me, mister, of just looking for a fight at all costs.
Yeah.
And these teams, now you're seeing it from FPX, are smart enough to play the map. Renekton has been alone on the bottom side of the map trying to call for somebody. Zoom, you're just going to really let this tower go to the wayside? Where's Yagao? Like, a lot of this is not being answered, and it's allowing FPX to just reap the rewards.
And out-rotating JDG continues to happen. Zoom does eventually get the turret, so although he let it go, as you said, it will be traded off by FPX's bottom lane.
And usually when this happens, you know, the lone Viktor in the top lane clearing the wave, it's a very tilted player now that's just saying, "Good guys,
I don't want to join the team.
I don't want to join. I'm on my own. I'm on my own 2 feet now." This one around, he's just like Viktor saying, "What can I actually do?" They will not dive the inhibitor turret or look for the inner mid lane turret. I would be there otherwise. He has the teleport too, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But he has realized that he has zero value in these teams at this point, other than wave clear.
Yeah, Hex Core upgrade is there. There's a blasting one, but it's only one upgrade, of course. Waiting for that first item, whereas someone like Imp, as I say that, Yagao does pick up Trinity Force.
Got it as Trinity Force, but now he's dealing with your point already. Spear, Sojourn, and that Black Cleaver.
Yeah. That's hard going into the matchup. GimGoon also on a roll in that top lane to be noted, almost has that Righteous Glory, but
all right. Tian's a bit too fast for my liking.
If Imp can stay alive, there is hope. Get over here! Force. Walking away, audacious charge, a Flawless duet. The explosive cast finally used. We see it knock Tian into a sidewall, but Flawless can't get anything more than that, and FPX just walk out unscathed.
That's a considerable amount of damage.
It was.
Didn't see that one coming.
AP Gragas. What else are you going to do these days? Doinb into Flawless. There's a 2-level difference.
Okay.
He doesn't have the ulti. Let's just go on top of him.
You thought my interest was the blue buff?
Doinb, kill number 4, Raz. Let's just keep on going. The depth charge is available for LvMao, but doesn't need to use it to get out. Instead, it's just JDG on the run while GimGoon gets the maximum in the bottom lane.
All right, that was a sad flash if I've ever seen one, but it's all good. Baron is spawning soon enough. Look how fast this game has turned out. It seemed like the game was willing to end at any point, and the Baron buff has not even spawned. So.
You know what I've noticed, Raz?
What?
Both game 1, game 2. This is so clean from FPX. This is not the week 1, week 2 we saw in spring where FPX want to play the chaos game. Instead, they're going to go for what I'll call a clean dive here. Zoom, the flash, the poke, the burn. He survives, but only just while JDG will reap another reward.
All right, man, you're trying to make this seem clean. And while it is
clean.
It's a lot of blood on the ground.
There is.
A lot of skirmishing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to look for fights. Now, that's how the composition should play out, because they have themselves pretty heavy melee champions and Renekton.
Blood.
Yeah, that's how you play it. Yeah. But I'm just saying, this is very on brand to what FPX have been doing during the spring.
Also very true. I look at this FPX and I say, though, well, you're back in form. Not that you were ever out of it. Good revenge against JDG.
It all comes down to that expectation, right? The expectation of FPX, while at the very beginning of the split didn't exist, as we're seeing a pick off here.
To pause it. Yagal's dead. There's no
there
way
we go, the
he's going
11th kill.
Sorry, continue on.
Back to my point, yes. The expectation, once they hit first place in the split. Oh.
No, we're just going to fight again. Hey, Doinb.
I'm doing it.
Will actually follow the flash. Imp, he gets locked on back down. That's Doinb with the Chaos Storm on top of him. He pops the Dominus, still alive though, as they go on to GimGoon, while Doinb already picks up Zoom in the top lane. And this is not good again. The depth charge used. LvMao goes golden. Hooks in the air like you just don't care.
GimGoon somehow survived.
Oh, it survives again.
He's still coming
Fancy
alive.
little flash. Let's just do Baron now.
All right. Like, he is playing with his own life there, with his own gold bounty, and still coming up trumps. My God, do you like your life or not?
He's still alive as well.
What is happening, GimGoon?
That's Aftershock for you, ladies and gentlemen. LWX snipes Flawless. How did he land that? Well, it doesn't matter anymore because FPX just flash on top. Vanguard's edge to who? LWX is a bit grumpy as he dies, and Imp is just trying to powerhouse this 1v9.
Oh, no.
Let's go, Lucian. Not close enough. Doinb just smacks him in the head. And we're going to do Baron again? No, I don't think so. Zoom finds one. GimGoon eventually dies.
They were very unclear after that kill. They were
Okay,
like, let's all go Baron. Wait a second, I'm about to die.
This is not as clean as I stated before, right?
Clean as can be.
Clean as can be.
Someone right now Photoshop me any image of just Hysteric's face.
Clean.
Clean. But man, I love this. This was the initial pick, of course, on towards Yagao, which set up a lot of this play. So, I mean, finally got our chance to see it once again. And it turns into what seems like we're getting straight out of a replay.
We got 20 kills, 22 minutes. Why would we stop?
Look, at this point, the observer is sitting on the edge of his seat.
Yeah.
At any point where Renekton just uses his ultimate, it's like, well, the fight's going to have to happen.
Do you reckon they like these type of games?
Hell yeah.
Isn't it? Have you ever observed?
Who does?
Observers.
Hell yeah, they love it.
Yeah, they love it?
It's a good challenge.
Yeah.
When every lane is fighting at the same time, suddenly you have to deem what's the most important.
You are the most important person in the game.
You start to see favoritism at times.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. You see no favoritism.
I mean, it's someone who's 5-0 or sorry 6-0 like Doinb, a little bit. I mean, he's almost got his third item, and JDG just scraping at the scraps. Yeah, let's go with that. I mean, when you have a 6k gold lead, 8k gold lead, sorry if I could do math properly, you start thinking that FPX have to throw away a couple of these players, a couple of more picks from someone like Zoom or Yagao once again.
Look, we're getting all of us are getting swept up in the pace right now because FPX doesn't need to be doing something like this. They could, once again, set the Renekton towards the bottom side of the map. While he does not have teleport, the strength of FPX right now, 3 or 4 people towards the mid lane, they're going to dissuade JDG to even looking towards Baron buff. But they're not playing towards the side lane, so you're going to get that scrap. You're going to get the raw fight where, all right, apparently we're just going to go all in.
Tian's pretty confident to do such a thing. He goes golden, but Doinb's already picked up the kill into the midst of it. The explosive charges wait too late, and FPX just turn their heads back onto Flawless. As the backline from LWX cleans house, Doinb is following up Zoom. GimGoon's already taken down him, and this is the slice and dice we're waiting for. Full-blown ace, Baron up next, and FPX continue to clean house.
Yeah, they already had a huge gold deficit, but you just had a spot where Imp was just alone on this one, trying to make miracles happen. So, unfortunately, he wasn't going to be able to do it, and FPX were able to nail the team fight that they wanted. Now, I was concerned about Zhao just jumping straight into the thick of things, but the stopwatch made it all the more possible.
Yeah, he survived. He made sure that he kind of baited in JDG to the pick that they wanted to get.
I said 20 kills. Was that the last game? No?
That was last game. I'll give it to you for this game.
Right,
I can't remember, but there's 21 kills.
Taking advantage of poor memory.
Yeah.
Is my go-to.
Should have made a bet on how this gold lead would expand, because that's going even more rapidly. But this is the moment you were scared, right?
Yeah, because that's a lot of damage going on top of the Zhao, but he was able to just utilize his stopwatch at the same time. A great frontliner in Doinb just jumping straight in. Had a huge shield on top of him as well, so there was no way Lucian was going to be getting out of that one. And yeah, you're on the wrong side of the map at this point.
Zoom just a remnant. The final kill goes over to Tian, but not that it matters at this point. Everyone looking at a bounty on the side of FPX. I'm going to say everyone. 3 out of 5 is not really that, but still close enough. The Ryze will get it soon. I look at that scoreboard and I say, all right, how does this falter? How does JDG work their way back in, Raz?
All right, you could have just ended it all right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, what are you going to do? Right?
Hope Irelia gets in.
They just feel disheveled at this point.
Yeah.
You got to shake it off. But there's
Oh,
no
start
amount
digging.
of shaking. It's like you woke up with your neck crick
Your
or
neck-
like your back just like, oh.
Your neck, what? Crick.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
No.
Like your neck's turned around?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think, isn't that?
Don't even worry
don't you
about
die
it.
from it. Yeah, okay. I'll Google that a little bit later.
But you're at a position where you cannot really shake it off. And at this
Yeah.
point in time, FPX, they have a huge stranglehold on this one. Viktor, you can already see the wave clear he had towards the top side of the map, but they're leaning this one towards the mid lane. So it's going to be rough to even deal with the... oh, they're just right in.
Yeah, just about to say, how does this end? Because for JDG, splitting up against this 1-4, potential 1-3-1 as GimGoon sits with the rest of the team is going to be difficult. At least JDG have the wave clear to delay, and they just even want to start the fight. On to GimGoon, they land a depth charge, but LvMao just has to disappear into the ultimate, the killer instinct from LWX, and they just send him backwards. At least they get a pick. A 1-for-1 is okay, but for FPX, they still want more. Flaws runs away with an inch of his life, and GimGoon can't land the final shot. Pick for pick here, JDG still losing inhibitor turret.
Yeah, not much you could do here. I didn't like the engage simply because FPX had recognized they were put in a tough position. We're pinging out the bottom side wave so they can at least get that wave going. But
Yep.
I mean, at this point, it's been sped up. See if JDG can do anything.
Yagao, come on, let's go on in. He doesn't have the Vanguard's edge, but still tries all the same. Doinb into the Dominus. They need to hit the turret, but that's not even the priority. Flushes forward. AoE damage from Doinb. And this Spirit Shoja Renekton is just pummeling the side of JDG as they head towards the Nexus, even into the rest of the fight. Doinb is just having a good time.
They got 2 waves that they can use here. You can see JDG trying to desperately clear out this one, but they can't. At this point in time, you have to see JDG fight for their lives.
I mean, FPX are low, but that's not going to stop them, Raz. LvMao is the first target. Maybe the Nexus turret, the next. As FPX are onto the last one. JDG need to fight now, but it might be a little bit too late. Tian can't get the kill because he's gone golden, but Flawless will eventually die as FPX clean house 2-0 and start off their split right.
And I saw a little bit of that, action there from Doinb in the camera. If you didn't see it, he was hollering on that one. Good reason. He's the type of person when there's something on his shoulder. For him, pressure, expectations, any of that, he comes in strong, and it feels great for him to be able to take down the team that bopped them out of that spot in the finals.
And what was just great to see was week 1, day 1, we see the Renekton mid. I mean, we see the versatility that has always been talked about with this player, and why Doinb is one of the best players not to go international. Why he's one of the most known LPL players that doesn't have the international brand behind him.
Well, I mean, if we're talking internationals, I suppose you mean like MSI
of course.
And Worlds.
Apart from Rift Rivals.
Yes, he's really made a name for himself on that one. And I hope he does make it towards a Worlds from this point, because this is his best shot in my eye.
Yeah.
Where Rogue Warriors was a stacked team. This one, even better. But at this point, you have like across the board, incredible individual talent. Coming from GimGoon, who you got to see consistently in the series. Bottom side of the map, LWX. Yeah. And the best thing about this too is that the patience that we see from LWX and Chris when they're on weak side of the map is exceptional. Always able to find their way to be like 10 CS behind.
Yeah.
When the opposite side, the enemy team, is just at an insane deficit that's snowballing. So recognizing their position, calm game for me, I see. And they still recognize the next step, even though JDG threw themselves at you.
Yeah.
They knew that they needed to look towards bot side to get that rolling as well. So they have the right ideas and steps in motion.
So let's break down the draft a little bit more, because for me, really just reacting to your comments on Game 1, Game 2 for JDG, and what that draft actually achieved, whereas Game 1 was kind of thrown out the window in a way, and Game 2 was a bit of a recovery method.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking about the fact that both games, they completely decided they didn't want to touch these flex picks.
Yep.
Like, that's something that needs to change. For me, if you are coming into this one, thankfully we got to see an Irelia there for Yagao, but of course the game had already turned away from them. And if there is one pick that I would say in this situation not to go towards, it would be the Irelia, and I'd even throw in the Silas on this one, just simply because you're going up against a team that can flex the Renekton between both top and mid lane. I even talked about it in Game 1, that Renekton is a pick that you don't want to give away to the enemy team if you're giving yourself some weak matchups. So that's something that they will learn in dealing specifically with FPX. But going up against future teams, for me, I mean, JDG needs to find, I would say, look towards top lane.
Yeah.
I want him to play more Akali.
Because this is not the only team that can play Flex as well. Of course, the meta dictates it. But a team like FPX, GimGoon and Doinb played around Flexes before this meta of 5 top Flex picks came through the meta that we saw in MSI.
Yeah, and we see teams that go into it. Like we saw Team Liquid as an example, as a team that was not willing to play it towards the top lane and mid lane. And those roles in particular were still thriving regardless. Like Impact was still the strongest top laner, or at least the strongest player, I will say, from Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Even though he foregoed a lot of those options. And remember, Aatrox is still a great pick. And so I'd say you can get away with that a little bit, just a tiny bit. But if you're going against a lot of these teams that are incredibly flexible and insanely strong, and a lot of these teams now that are in the spring split outside of the playoff spot, that are certainly in the conversation now, they need to be a little bit more flexible.
Because for a team like JDG, mentioning the draft there and how we can play towards the flexes, I look at a team like FPX and I say this was a fantastic start. They're adapting the meta well, not that we ever thought they wouldn't, but this is a fantastic start for a team that we have high expectations for in summer.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in how FPX are going to be playing this one out. Like that level of consistency that we've seen, and ending at 3rd place is not at all bad. Like that's great for me, like championship points that you're going to be looking towards Worlds. And I think that this is a team that, at the very least, if they have like inconsistent performances that I think they're going to get another third place spot, and we'll see them at Gauntlet. This is all the way looking forward.
Yeah.
But if I'm just talking about consistency, I do not question GimGoon's level of play.
No.
Well, not at all am I going to be questioning both Tian and Doinb. And all they need is that top side of the map. While I am always confident in what LWX and Chris were showing me. So I think the added level of flexibility, we've already seen them. You know, they can play Yuumi.
The Yuumi lane was good.
That was great.
Best Yuumi we've seen in the LPL.
Stop. But I didn't even think about the Yuumi and Lucian lane. A lot of the times we've been thinking about lanes that, you know, require a lot of range and skill shot and motion. I didn't think about the, you know, the mobility that Lucian has to offer and how difficult it is to get on top of him on that one. So that's great to be able to see that, and I hope we get to see more going forward.
Good ingenuity, definitely right.
Yes.
For FPX, you know, we've dictated that this split for them is their chance to go to Worlds, and as I said before, for Doinb to make the international tournament outside of Rift Rivals.
And to be fair, this is the same discussion about JDG, same
Also
discussion about EDG.
Zoom, Yagao, especially two laners that you're like, well, they are international talent. They should be.
Exactly. So for me, consistency is one thing. Also just playing well when it matters the most. Yeah. When the spotlight is on you, that you can still show this level of play when you're like on stage.
That's right.
And the biggest problem when it comes to Doinb in his teams has been when he's on Xiaogu Reapers, got MVP on that one, go in the playoffs, get knocked out on first stage. When he was on Rogue Warriors, go into the playoffs, get knocked out on that one, goes into the Gauntlet, knocked out by EDG.
Yeah.
And a lot of those times, they were expected and favored in these matchups. And so now we're seeing him on FPX, while that same thing happened when he was on JDG, or at least going up against JDG.
Yep.
We need to see him run that, you know, run the Gauntlet. If you're on the playoffs, if you get first seed, again, congratulations. But you still need to get third place. Right. You still need to go in through the Gauntlet if you don't lock in the championship point necessary to get the automatic qualification. There's a lot that's needed for this team.
Can't be stopped by a team like JDG, but it was a good revenge matchup for them, like we said. That's it for today, but before we go further, Doinb, of course, after that performance, Ryze, our MVP for game number 2.
Boom!
So we're not going to go further. We're going to stand right here and say that Renekton mid looked great, like last time.
I love the fact that the stat that we're being thrown here is the kills.
Yeah.
10 kills, 0 deaths, 6 assists. And now you can just look at his teams and say, who's the one that didn't give me a kill on that? It could have been 16 for all I care.
Yeah.
So you got to a point where, I mean, at this one, Doinb starting the split strong, and he started out showcasing other teams. Yeah, you can't pick Irelia into me if I'm on red side. This team is to be feared on both sides because of their flexibility on blue side.
That's right.
And the counter pick strength that they have on red.
In spring, got there eventually. In spring, I mean, FPX had a much higher win rate on the blue side anyway. The blue side was their forte. But still, you come into a game like this and go, well,
look,
doesn't matter.
Blue side is just OP at this point. Like I'm talking about the teams that right now are much stronger on red side. I'm talking about Invictus Gaming, a team that actually picks red side more than they did on blue side in the regular season. They by far had the better win rate on blue side than they had on red. Just because if you're talking about counter picking options, sure, we got to see the opportunity there having the pick as Renekton. But ordinarily teams, if you're going up against the best teams in the league, they're not going to be that locked into their style. That, you know, they're going to have Ryze, and Ryze can go in either lanes. Jace is going to be a possibility. Like, Akali is going to be going to either lanes, and it's not going to be shoved out. So it just shows to me that, you know, JDG is a team that needs to be strengthened by blue side by having those picks. FPX, like, I think that while they are better on red side because of their champion pool, blue side is just way too strong to pass up.
Plus, as we go down the patches as well, we go through the season. I mean, a lot can change in 11 weeks here in the LPL. Let's bring up those matchups coming up tomorrow, because as far as I know, this is only the start. As far as I know a lot of things. Tomorrow, this is what's happening. LGD and V5. Finally, I get to see a bit of the new LGD and a bit of the V5 res.
So Doran, the new Korean top laner there for LGD, is someone that I'm looking towards. And if it's WE versus RNG,
oh yeah,
Long X, aka
Zhao,
is going to be starting for RNG. I would hope, I would assume drastic things if he doesn't start for that team. Going up against Team WE, I love this matchup. You want to see it happen.
It's going to be exciting. That's only day 2. We've just started the summer split. A big thank you to Barento Raz Muhammad. Big thank you to myself, I guess. We are going to be back tomorrow. Well, not us specifically. I'll see you later, all right? We'll see you later. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you to everyone else. See you tomorrow.